I'm at the legendary Speaker's Corner. We used to have some really hot debates here before the pandemic closed down, everything down. And a lot of people used to catch feelings, so much so that the police has to be here to prevent breaches of the peace when certain scriptures goes down and when certain history goes down. We used to have some very scholarly debates many years ago, but now the debates have been infiltrated by certain types of people who want to fight in the name of their Redeemer or the name of their God physically, when we know that the struggle is not a physical one. We're not fighting against flesh and blood, but principalities and powers that are in high places. You know, I missed some of these debates when my elders and the scholars from my assembly and various assemblies which I'm connected to used to come down here, and we used to discuss the scripture and how they relate to current events and what was going to happen. Now we're seeing what's happening unfolding worldwide: the floods, the heat, the snakes, the droughts, the so-called grasshoppers in the United States, and the pandemic and everything that's happening that was prophesied to happen by Hamashiach in Matthew chapter 24. And we only have to hold on tight now, because Hamashiach says, and he promised in Matthew 24 verse 31, that he'll be coming for his elect. And his elect is in Isaiah 45 and verse 4, and 65 and verse 9, and 65 verse 22. You can look at it and you see who his elect are. And the Bible also speaks about the saints in Deuteronomy 33 verse 2 and 3, and also 189 times in scripture, all the way to Revelation 14 verse 12. He put a covenant in Israel and a law which we should teach to our children, which is found in Psalms 75 verse 8, and also Deuteronomy 29 and verse 29. And only the people who keep Torah according to Revelation 22 and verse 14 will have the right to the tree of life. 1 Thessalonians 4 verse 17 and 1 Corinthians 15:53 doesn't mean the things that your seminary is teaching and what your pastor's teaching. If you take up the Strong's Concordance, or if you don't have one, you go to the Blue Letter Bible and you dissect those verses line by line and use Strong's and use the Thayer's, Briggs Driver's Thayer's Greek lexicon, you can see that there is a different doctrine coming out, because what you've been taught comes from Cyrus Schofield and John Darby, who popularized this thing which was never taught before 1830. We need to get back to scripture and realize that it's about a land. Paul says in Hebrews 11 verse 14 to 15 that if we had been mindful of the land from whence we came, we would have returned. But our focus has never been on the land. You know, one of our great leaders said, Patrick Lumumba says, Jomo Kenyatta, that we were praying with our eyes to the sky, and when we opened our eyes, our land was gone. Our land was divided under the Berlin Conference between 1834 and 1835. Sorry, I've got bad allergies. And it's been hidden which land has been parted. And also, if you look at Deuteronomy 8 verse 8 to 9, it says the promised land will have every natural resource, and also that Jerusalem, according to Psalms 125 and verse 2, and Ezekiel 37 verse 22 and 22 to 27 points out that Jerusalem is on hills. Now we got to start reading the scriptures and interpreting them correctly and not spiritualizing them. I'm gonna sign up for now, and hopefully the few words that I've said will make sense to you in the name of Hamashiach.